My name is H.A. Goodman. To support this YouTube channel, go to my Patreon link below. President Trump has officially coined the phrase, fraud news. Now, we're at this point in U.S. history where I find it very amusing. People say, well, how come you don't hate Trump? And I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Jill Stein. I would have voted for Bernie Sanders. Actually, Noam Chomsky states that Bernie Sanders would have won the DNC nomination were it not for the shenanigans, he used the word shenanigans, of the party bosses, the DNC party bosses, which is why it is an obligation of every progressive, quote-unquote progressive, or whatever. If you don't like Trump, it's your obligation to go up against the DNC politically, to stand with Jared and Elizabeth Beck, who are the attorneys who are representing Bernie Sanders voters against the DNC in the DNC fraud lawsuit, where DNC attorneys actually state it's okay, it would have been okay to actually pick the nominee, to actually appoint or pick Hillary Clinton like they did in smoke-filled back rooms in years past. That would have been okay, but they didn't. But it would have been okay if they did, even though Debbie Wasserman Schultz claimed neutrality and impartiality. Doesn't matter what you think of Bernie Sanders. So respectfully, you don't have to tell me, Bernie is a fraud, Bernie is this, and that's like to progressives and conservatives, mainly conservatives, but regardless of what you think of Bernie Sanders, he should have become the Democratic nominee, and he would have defeated Trump. Wisconsin has not voted for a Republican since 1984. They chose Trump over Clinton because it's Clinton. And I stated in 2015 she would lose in the Huffington Post, The Hill, and Salon. But why is there the phrase fraud news? The Democratic Party completely created this fabricated thing called fake news. That's one of the things they blamed, along with sexism, Russia, what else? The Electoral College. They blamed everything but Hillary Clinton for losing. Fraud news is now an evolution of fake news. It is Trump's rebuttal to fake news. So when Loretta Lynch speaks to Bill Clinton a couple days prior to Hillary's FBI interview or interrogation about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren, do you think Sam Cedar or David Pakman or the Young Turks or CNN or the Washington Post care? No, they say, yes, Loretta Lynch had a conversation about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren. It's true. That's true. Well, she said so. She said so. They don't make an issue of that. Then Clinton promptly loses $1.2 billion after cheating Bernie Sanders. And then you must hate Trump. You must dislike Trump. And if you don't, oh my God, you're so disloyal. But wait, how did we get President Trump? Oh yeah, the DNC cheated. The only person, let's say you don't think he would have defeated Trump, the only person possible of defeating Trump at that moment in history. Not the Bernie of today. Bernie of today is not the same Bernie. Different Bernie. Still love him. Different Bernie. Fraud news is awesome. Fraud news is like fake news, but without the odor or without the Democratic Party spin. So it's great. So the Democrats can say, that's fake news. Fake news helped elect Trump. Fake news. And then Trump, he just goes ahead and tweets his appearance on WWE. It's right here. And he's like hitting, and it's hilarious. And he puts a picture of CNN on the guy he's beating up. And he calls so CNN is fraud news. It's hilarious. This is the American political system. It's fantastic. Don't claim to care now. Don't claim to care now. Don't say, "Oh my God, how did we get here?" Look in the mirror and then ask why people like Jordan or TYT don't actively stand against the DNC. Actively stand. Why doesn't Cenk Uygur actively say the DNC is hard? Loser DNC. Where are the loser DNC videos? You're not going to get them. because they funnel all of your anger and frustration into the next Democratic establishment candidate. And people say, oh, the environment. Jill Stein had a green economy. People laughed. She had a plan to develop a renewable energy green economy. Nobody cared. There is no plan for a green economy, only regulations, the Democratic Party. We can go on forever. Foreign policy, they're neocons. Whistleblowers, Julian Assange. Democrats are openly stating they want Assange's death. Openly stating. And people like Jordan Sheridan are like, oh, well, I did so much. I had one of my... I didn't say that John Levine was categorically wrong and his article was horrific and condemn the article. Jordan never condemned his friend John Levine or his editor at Mediaite for writing one of the most atrocious articles ever written on wanting to drone Assange in London. How the fuck forget about how unethical and immoral it is to kill Julian Assange, because he's not only a hero but a publisher and a human being who has never, like, how do you do that? How do you advocate the death of another human being who publishes the truth? How do you advocate the death of another journalist? So just on its own, anyone condoning or advocating the death of or threats against Assange, these people are despicable. Julian Assange is a hero who should be protected forever. He is a hero who will be spoken about, and WikiLeaks will be spoken about hundreds of years from now. So I love Julian Assange. I did a segment condemning John Levine for what he wrote, which is what Jordan Sheridan should have done, because he's part of Mediaite. He's a columnist on the About Us. And then you have Democrats openly. So it's all topsy-turvy. The fascists now have infiltrated, or maybe the Democratic Party is not only neocon, but turning into a more fascist type thing. Sure, there's issues that I agree with, but the progressive issues, progressive values, they completely trample upon and stomp on. Ending wars, you can forget about that if you're a Democrat. Democrats love that. Democrats love wars. That's what drives me, the fact that neocons have infiltrated the Democratic Party and nobody seems to care. Anyway, you can go on forever. Fraud news is fraud news because the Democratic Party created a term called fake news, where Hillary Clinton can say, I used the server for convenience, and liberal pundits and writers of the New York Times not only collude directly with the Clinton campaign, but they'll just shrug their shoulders and look elsewhere. They won't expose corruption if it's a Democrat, but they'll gleefully expose corruption if it's a Republican. That's fraud news. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so much for listening.